except by anyone else who has zeppelins.
Eggman, let's get this party started.
Okay, look. I will concede that there are examples of good Sonic games out there. I will concede to that point. I know that they do exist. I know that the concept, the proof of concept of Sonic's abilities and what he can do is not completely devoid of potential. I recognize this as a fact. I realize that there are examples in the franchise of very good Sonic games which hold up both from a gameplay perspective and from a gameplay perspective. I know a lot of people like Sonic Generations. I enjoyed it myself too. I almost feel it shouldn't count because it's a sizzle reel of, like the best moments from the franchise. So it almost is like, yeah, you take the good bits out of like a bad larger piece, and then you get all that fused together, and then you get a better larger piece because you've cut away the bad to leave only the good. But that said, I don't think it's impossible to make a good Sonic game. I don't. I think it's difficult to do, but with the right time and care and patience, it can be done. For example, I actually think that this level design here is actually rather dynamic. I think that the combination of all the different abilities and mechanics from the previous levels all blended together into one piece actually, on paper, works really well. I think that what we're seeing here is actual dynamic level design where you are encouraged to play as Sonic more than anyone else because all of his unique abilities like the rail grinding and the triangle jumping and the like spinning around flagpoles and the homing attack and all of these things make you progress through the level in such a fluid way that it all blends together really nicely. And we're going from the cannon and using the speed to get up to the rails and all of that. That is good level design. I will admit that that is good level design. The problem is that there is such a distinct lack of polish within this game. That's the problem that besets it the entire way through. Is that on paper, this should all work. On paper, this should be a dynamic, flowing kind of game that just has absolute... Because, this is alright. The way that you go with, the light dash of the rings, and then you end up on a rail, and if you go fast enough, you end up on another rail, and it takes you to a higher platform, right? All of that, I think, is actually decent level design. But then the controls and the character abilities don't allow for it to work properly. Because there's just so much... But there is just this, distinct lack of polish, which prevents the game from really hitting all of the marks it wants to hit. The characters have a proclivity to run toward the walls. The video has a tendency to stutter all the time. There's a lot of ugly pop-in from different items and platforms. The two non-playable characters that tag alongside you have a tendency to just fly all across the screen, jump, cutting, and teleporting here and there and all over the place.
Come on, man. Stuttering is a sign of quality in games.
It reeks of being a technical mess and being a IP that was rushed out the door before they'd ironed out all the kinks. And I think that if they ever had the time to really refine what it is they're trying to accomplish, they would have a better, more stable game franchise on their hands. But that never seems to be what happens. There always just seems to be this continued element with Sonic Team and making games where they kind of come up with the marketing strategy before actually putting thought into the level design and into the physics mechanics, to the point where it's just like, the game suffers because it doesn't function in a sustainable way, and to a point where it becomes frustrating, because there's such potential with what you could do with this series. And I think that's what even the most diehard Sonic fans would have to admit to. That, the potential is there for good games to come out of this series. But it just so rarely happens because they focus so much on hitting release dates and trying to keep up with Nintendo and with Microsoft and everyone else, or PlayStation, whoever else is making games that are outranking them. They always feel the need to have to play this eternal game of catch up. And because of that, the games suffer because they don't ever live up to the promise that they're meant to be sold upon. And that's just what my problem is with this franchise, is that it is a lot of hype and build-up for a disappointing payoff. That just is what it naturally always turns out to be. And I don't know how to fix that, because if we're gonna say the high water benchmark of what good 3D Sonic is, if we're gonna say that Sonic Mania is now the best of the 2D Sonic games, which is ironic, as Sonic Team didn't make it. That was a fan game with official go-ahead. But then, if we're to say that, say Sonic Generations is considered now the best of the 3D Sonic games, then is that even, fair to judge it on its own merits? It's a highlight reel. That's an example of them going, okay, well, we're going to take, selected highlights from the past games and then improve upon what was there originally, because what was there originally was deeply flawed. So now we get our second chance to have another go at making these levels really, kinetically pleasing to play. And look at that, when they're given the time to go back and have a template and improve upon it, they're capable of making a good game. But when they have to work from scratch, there's just such this sense of grasping at straws for any kind of, sense of unity and of game flow and feel that they just never master. And it frustrates me, because then people start praising a franchise off of just the promise it has and the kinetic aesthetic that it exudes. But they ignore the fact that, for the most part, these games actually function pretty poorly. And that feels to me like it's sort of getting away with something. Just because the aesthetic is pleasing and people want to believe that these games are better than they really are, they get a pass from their sloppy mechanics and presentation, and just it's annoying to me, because I cannot see how, if this game was not a Sonic game, and I mean this sincerely, if this game was not a Sonic game and did not have the Sonic the Hedgehog aesthetic and fan community driving it forward, it would be considered a mess. It would be considered a lost, mediocre at best platformer with tons of performance issues and tons of, bugs and poor physics mechanics and, wonky cameras and, it would not be as like highly regarded as it is if it was anything else. But it gets this like free pass of people because it's a Sonic game. And because it's a Sonic game, it must be actually, it can't actually be a negative game. It can't actually be a flawed experience. No. It's a lost, underrated, forgotten classic because it's Sonic. And I say that as someone who felt that for the longest time and now is like replaying this and is visibly annoyed and disgusted at himself for having ever perpetuated the idea that this mess of a video game was something that was a lost classic. I'm ashamed of myself because now I can revisit this and go, no, it's not a lost classic. It's another example of Sonic not working spectacularly within a 3D platforming environment because it's a lack of polish. It needs to be refined, but it never reaches that refinement, and because of that, it suffers in the long run. Oh well.
Here we go! One down!
All right!
Way to go, guys!
Thanks, approving Father Knuckles. I'm glad that you're really proud of your children here. Yeah, we're counting on you to just help us float on fans. That's really what it's all about, isn't it? So anyway, talking about what's happening here. I mean, here's the thing, like this, in a better, more sustainable control scheme, this would be actually a really great, fun, flowing level. Because it all would work dynamically. But you see here, the problem is not that, like, 90% of what is happening here is not, like, what I consider fair earned deaths. It's that because of the physics mechanics of all three characters, I end up just always flying off of the platforms and dying and, like, falling to my death. Either because Sonic's homing attack will miss its target and he'll fly off the level, or Knuckles won't have any brakes and when he starts punching, he'll run off the level, or Tails' fly mechanic will have poor aiming, so then he'll fly off the level. I mean, that's like what 90% of the deaths in this game have just been me unable to stop myself from just perplexing off the stage. And is that fair design? Is that really, like, actually on the player when the, like, design of the level, or not even the design of the level, because the level is actually designed really well. It's purely the mechanics of the characters and their powers and their physics which cause me to always launch off the stage. And then I'm here for like a million years. Every single level takes like an hour to beat just because I keep flying off the stage because that's where the characters want to go. They keep running into the walls or they keep running off the stage and it always ends in a death. And it's ridiculous because it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like, there are games out there which are deliberately, intentionally difficult, like Celeste or Super Meat Boy. But the control schemes in those games are so tight and, so correct that when you play them, even if you die like a million times, you don't think the game is just fooling around with me. You think, okay, there's something within the control scheme and within my own reflexes as a player that I need to master in order to get further within this game. That is palpable and that exists and you feel it when you play through it. And that's the sign of good game design. But this is just like, yep, and now I'm going to be Sonic and I'm going to run off the stage because I have no brakes and he just constantly runs toward the walls and the characters fly all across the screen and you know, the homing attack will launch me off the stage anyway. Like here, for example, I phase through the rail because they got a spring there that, oh my god, I gotta go for all of that again. I just want to be allowed to move on with my life. Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to just ask that I could stop playing a game that is like every hour is me just doing the same thing over and over and over again? Is that really like just an impossible ask? Please. Because it's like, this is one of those things where it's like, the game has destroyed the sense of fun for me. Like, it's not, and it's just simply, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy playing it. I want it to end. There was a moment in time where I could have been like, oh yeah, this is fun times. But those are long since past. That's just, an era is over. And, you know, we're now in a point where I just want to do literally anything else. Every single time, I, like, have to sit down and... I swear to God, it's like every single time I sit down to play this game, it's another, like, hey, are you ready to spend, like, the next hour doing the same level over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? Because that's what you're gonna do! It's time! Look at this! You like playing the same thing over and over, 20 million times over, and getting the same result again and again and again? Well, congratulations, because that's what you're doing. That's what you gotta do, because you're being forced by a one-dimensional, like, relic historic demon to frickin' play this game. You can't stop now. You gotta keep it going. And it's just like, I would like more than anything to just stop shooting me in the chest, please. I just would like to do anything else with my time, but no, I'm here playing this game for a million years, and I just, please, God. Alright, just get on the rail, Tails, please. Can we, like, just zoom on over? Yeah, let's do that. Because I want to be... Oh, God. How many... Why? Why? Okay. If we could just...
Watch out, everyone!
Okay, just, like... If I could know how many lives I have. Because you don't even understand. Every single time... my phone is going off. I don't care about frickin' football! You can't even begin to comprehend. It's like, it's not just what you're seeing on screen, right? It's like, I have to cut out in editing, like, sometimes half an hour's worth of footage of just me replaying the start of the levels again and again and again. Because every time I run out of lives, they make me restart the level, and then I have to face the same... jerkums McGurkums parts of the level over and over and over again, and that takes up all of my time, and I have nothing to comment on, and I just want to be done with this atrocious thing. Just please, I want more than anything to be finished with this game and all of its shenanigans, because that's what these are. They're frustrating as Flipper, the faster than lightning dolphin shenanigans. And I just want this to be over, please. And I'm certain we're nearing the end. This is the big egg fleet thing. It's like gonna be like one more level on the boss after this. I will be so glad. I'll be so glad when it's over. You will have to pin me down to the ceiling to stop me, because I'll be so energized when this is over. I'll be so reinvigorated with the spirit from the beyond that I just don't know what I'll do when this is over. You know, it'll be so wonderful when it happens. But just please, if we could be... it's like this here, being stuck in this conveyor belt is how it feels to be living this life. Okay. We're done with this level. Only one more left to go. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ding the bell to be notified about when new videos come out. Smash that like button and share the video with the friends that you may or may not have. On the screen, you'll see more videos to check out. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.